Hello folks and welcome to Paddock Pass, your post-race edition for the 2018 US Grand Prix, a race which, with Lewis Hamilton having taken pole position for the Grand Prix and with Sebastian Vettel handed a 3-place grid penalty, everyone assumed would see the crowning of Lewis Hamilton as a 5-time Formula One world champion. It was not to be, however, because in order for this thing to go through to the next round, Kimi Räikkönen had to win this race to give Vettel a chance. That's exactly what he did. Seb was trying to fight through the field in the opening lap. After that penalty, contact with Daniel Ricciardo sent him all the way through the field and he had to fight back through. But Räikkönen did everything right to seal victory on this most important of occasions. It had been 5 years and 113 races since the Finn had last stood on the top step of the podium. Champagne still tasted the same, but there will have been an extra sweetness to it, I am sure, showing what he always has known he could do, what we've always known he can do, but which he hasn't been able to show for quite some time. Kimi Räikkönen, your race winner. Max Verstappen in second. An incredible drive from the Dutchman today. P18 on the grid to P2 at the flag. Lewis Hamilton, who led much of today's Grand Prix, ultimately coming home third. The strategy didn't work out for him. Räikkönen had taken the start at the lead. Hamilton and Mercedes had to roll the dice and pitted him early under a virtual safety car, but in the ensuing battle that he had with Räikkönen, just used his tyres up a bit too much, had to take a second stop, which threw him from the lead back to that third place. A really exciting race, a race which, in the dying laps, the closing laps of the Grand Prix, saw the top three drivers, Räikkönen, Verstappen and Hamilton, split by just a second apiece. It really was a thrilling Grand Prix, a great contest, and fantastic to see Kimi Räikkönen back as a Grand Prix winner.
Kimi, over 5 years since your last victory, what is the winning feeling like?
That's not different really. I don't feel like it's 5 years. It sounds a long time, but it doesn't feel like it. Obviously, years goes very fast in F1 once you start the testing and the races. It's we are today here and it's almost finished the season. So it goes quickly, but I always believe that I will lost it, and it just depends on so many things. To either win it or not, so it's great to do it again.
Saw some great defensive driving from you there as well against Lewis and then against Max. Just how intense was it out there with all that pressure?
Yeah, I think with Max it wasn't really. We never got to that point, but with Lewis for sure was an important moment of the race when he came back with the new tyres after his first pit stop. That we can keep him behind, because if he passed us in 2 laps, he's pulling such a gap that it might be too late on that point. But yeah, it was interesting.
Heck of a comeback. You must have enjoyed it out there.
Absolutely, and much better than expected. But I think the key was a good start, good first lap, staying out of the crashes around me. And then, also the team, they did a great job. They pitted me to undercut Valtteri, so that was a massive bonus. And then from there, once we were on the super soft tyres, so we could actually challenge Kimi ahead. Just a shame we ran out of tyres at the end, and then of course I had to defend a little bit with Lewis behind me with fresher tyres, but still, very happy to be second here.
Yeah, it's 2 years in a row now. You've made great comeback drives and got either on the podium or very close to it.
Started in the back here.
Well, exactly that. What's the secret to that for you to come back from so far?
I don't know. I enjoy racing, so I enjoy overtaking, and it puts a bit more pressure on you to do well.
And just finally, those final laps, if Lewis wasn't on your tail, do you think you'd have had a crack at Kimi? Would that have changed anything?
I don't think so, because I ran out of tyres. So, but yeah, still, good race.
Where do you think the race really got away from you today? Was it the strategy or was it the start and losing out to Kimi there?
I think it was strategy. Strategy already from qualifying. We should have been on the ultra soft. The gain that you get from a super soft to an ultra soft in the tyres at the start is quite significant. And Kimi capitalized on that with a great start. I couldn't do anything about that, but then once he was ahead, he was quicker. I couldn't keep up with him, being that I had a slower tyre on. That might be able to go longer, but I was having to overdrive the tyres, so in actual fact it was probably going to go the same distance. And then we pitted on the lap 11, which is way too early, and then came out 9 seconds behind, so I had to catch up. By the time I caught up, the tyres were dead. He came out, so it was just it was from bad to worse throughout the race, but I still kept fighting and pushing to try and catch up. But at the end, it was fighting for second place. I knew that once I caught Max with the pace that he had, it would be hard to get by.
Yeah, but it was a thrilling finish to that race, watching you chase down those front two. And if you'd have got them both, you'd be stood here as world champion. Was that ever going through your mind at that stage?
No, I was just trying to win the race. But as I said, as I was catching them, I realised they had good pace. And I was like, geez, this is actually harder. I know when I catch them that the advantage that I have, if it's half a second a lap, is going to be gone. And then it's going to be formation. And but I was hoping maybe they'll tail off a little bit more at the end of the race. But it wasn't meant to be. But I was hoping at least I could get second. But I only had that one chance and it didn't work.
So the championship goes through to the next round in Mexico. Sebastian Vettel didn't have the best of days. Didn't want to stop and talk to us either. So we're not going to hear from him. We are, however, going to hear from Valtteri Bottas next. Another frustrating day for him. Had to let his teammate through on a couple of occasions, playing the dutiful team game. Ultimately didn't work out today for Mercedes as they'd hoped. We're looking at, expected a 1-2, not to be 3 and 5 at the flag.
Valtteri, was it just a case of Ferrari getting it right today?
I think they got it right, yes, and we quite didn't, at least with me. One stop was not ideal. I lost too much time at the end of the stint, and the last 5 laps was like ice driving. So many things we need to review from today, but also the pace, pure pace wasn't quite there.
Now, it was a very good day in the office for Renault after a number of races in which, having stopped the development of their car, their performance and their pace really tailed off in comparison to their rivals Haas and Force India and even Sauber. Today, really best of the rest, coming home 6th and 7th, Hülkenberg in 6th, Carlos Sainz in 7th. Much to be happy about, much to cheer down at Renault.
It was in a way. Of course, it's fun to get a good result, best team result, I think, since I've been there, for sure. My race been pretty lonely, but I don't complain about it. It was quite nice.
You get sad out there.
To have a an easy one, but just important for us, to have a good weekend after all the the bad weekends that we had, and the dry period of not scoring points. It's great to bounce back in the way we did today. I think we've shown that we have a great race car, or competitive enough for the midfield, to compete with Force India, Haas, and everybody else. And just showed, if you have a bad quali, it just really puts you on the back foot. So, put a lot of emphasis on that. And overall, great reward for everybody.
Carlos, good result, but then talk me through the penalty. Did you see it as a bit unfair?
I think, yes. No, I think we can all agree that once in a lifetime everyone has gone around the outside of a corner, especially turn 1, on a race where there's just no space in the inside, so I had to take avoiding action by going to the outside. Again, there's been a bit of inconsistency, as always, but it was my turn to suffer it today. On the hand side, super happy with the result. Mega start, mega pass around the outside on Esteban into turn 6. So, very happy with P7, to be honest.
Now, 8th, 9th and 10th, as I'm hearing at the moment, just filming this with you guys, there may be some change between when we film this and when it ultimately goes online. Esteban Ocon finished 8th, Kevin Magnussen 9th, Sergio Perez 10th. There's every chance Sergio Perez is actually going to end up 8th. Esteban Ocon and Kevin Magnussen both under investigation for exceeding fuel flow limits. For Kevin, I believe it might even be for fuel usage. He spoke to us on the Twitter show after the race and said he'd had a horrible race, he'd been fuel saving for the entire thing, but as I understand it, he didn't do quite a good enough job of his fuel saving, and Ocon may have exceeded the limitations on even the first lap of the race. Let's hear from the Force India boys. Ocon 8th, Perez 10th. At the time of filming, a good day for Force India. As I said, by the time this thing goes online, might not be.
Esteban, that was a positive day for you. Talk us through the challenges, though, especially with your teammate, Sergio.
It was definitely a very strange race, to be honest. I lost quite a lot of position at the start. The other took a lot of risk, and it paid off this time. Then, Kevin was very fast in the end, so I had to try and keep him behind. But the pace of the car was not fantastic. We were lacking some grip, and the Haas was quicker. So we have to analyze and come back stronger in the next one.
Checo, into the points, but Esteban said that the car wasn't feeling very strong. You felt the same?
Yeah, I think today we were not the strongest car out there, unfortunately. I think Renault was very strong. We lacked some race pace today, but always when you don't have the track position, it's always very hard. In the end, we scored points with both cars on a difficult day, so let's look forward. Still 3 more races, and hopefully we can score plenty of points.
And in terms of how you fared against Haas, what would you say? Obviously you behind, but Esteban in front. What does that tell you?
Was very close. I think they were on a very strategy on the first stint. I gained the position as they exit the pit, and then he got me back. And towards the end, he struggled a lot with some fuel.
Now, it was another good day for Brendan Hartley, who finished above his teammate Pierre Gasly. Of course, questions still abound as to whether he will be racing for Toro Rosso again next season, but he did a really good job. Again, at the time of filming, we're not sure if he's finished in the points or not. At the time we did the interview, by the way, wonderfully done in-race interviews by Chris Medland today, post-race interviews by Rosanna Tennant, in case you were wondering. Wonderful colleagues, good friends, brilliant interviewers. Thanks for all your help. Brendan did a good race. Has he got points or not? We'll know by the time this is released, and from the chatter in the paddock, it looks highly likely that Ocon and Magnussen will be in trouble. So yeah, Brendo finished 11th, quite possibly though finished in the points.
Brendan, that wasn't too bad, was it?
Yep, happy with that. Aggressive start, good first lap, some good overtakes, and yeah, annoying to be P11, not P10, but from P20 I think that was really the maximum we could do today. Happy with the race. I'm happy with the last part of the season really, and obviously keep answering questions about my future. Trying to do the talking on the track, and Singapore I was ahead of my teammate before team orders. Suzuka I was ahead in qualifying. Russia I was ahead before we had an issue, and today I was ahead again. So let's see what happens.
Down here at Sauber, Charles Leclerc didn't see the checkered flag, having been hit by Romain Grosjean and taking a lot of damage to his car during the Grand Prix. Marcus Ericsson had another pretty solid drive today, I've got to say. So let's hear from him at the end of a race in which, pending disqualifications, he may yet still score a point. This is fun, isn't it? We don't know what's going to happen.
Not a bad day in the office for you.
No, it was a decent race. I think had a bit of a bad first lap, so I was dropping back to the back of the field. So it's hard work from then on, but I think I managed well with the tires and did some good overtakes during the race. And yeah, overall it was not a bad race. But yeah, of course we want to score points.
Now Haas, the local team, have not always had it very easy at the US Grand Prix. It looked like they turned a bit of a corner today, with Kevin Magnussen finishing in 9th place. As I said, after the race, he complained he'd had to save a lot of fuel. It looks like he hasn't saved enough, looking like a likely disqualification. So not great for them. Not great also for Romain Grosjean, who nerfed Charles Leclerc on the opening lap of the race, has been handed a grid penalty for the next Grand Prix and 1 penalty point. Interesting that he's been handed 1 penalty point, for if he had been given 3 penalty points, as those kind of things often get, he would have been banned for a race. He now sits 2 penalty points off a race ban. Steve, who was the better interview, K-Mag or Roman? Given that K-Mag's looking at disqualification, let's hear from Roman instead.
Sorry to see you so early in the race. Can you just talk us through what happened in the incident with Charles at the start there?
Yeah, it was. We were having a fight with Esteban and Charles on the back straight, and I backed off early of the fight because I didn't want to take much risk, but I found myself in the dirt here into turn 12 and just couldn't stop the car. I tried to avoid the contact as much as I could, but Charles was trying to get a good exit, and I hit him, so I feel sorry for him, and very, very frustrating for the team and for home race, which I thought we could have done well, so not a great afternoon.
Another difficult weekend for McLaren. Didn't really have the pace all the way through the contest, really. One driver who didn't even make it more than a lap was Fernando Alonso. Nerfed, battered out of the way by Lance Stroll on the opening lap of the race. As you're about to hear, not a happy chap. 3 races stand now for Fernando Alonso in Formula One. And I think the frustration in him, not with the car this time, but with those around him on track starting to bubble over.
Yeah, it was a lot of action into turn 4, which is normally a corner that should not be too much action there. And yeah, 3 cars I think went into the corner together, and the result was well known.
Notamment et Stroll et commis, qu'on le veuille ou non, beaucoup d'erreurs quand même cette
These guys are impossible to race with. Impossible.
You said, I think, on the team radio that you can't race with these guys. Is it tricky on the first lap with some drivers out there?
Yeah, it is. I think the level seems lower than ever. And in Spa they play bowling with us into the first corner. Here they play bowling again into 10-4. So yeah, it's a misjudging of distances and speed, which is quite strange to see.
Fernando Alonso wasn't very happy with Lance Stroll. Let's hear from him.
Hi Lance, not the best day for you. Talk us through it.
No, it was a terrible day. Yeah, contact with Alonso at the beginning, first lap, and then went downhill from there.
And that is your lot from Paddock Pass at a point in time at which we still don't know quite what the results will be, although it's looking incredibly likely that Kevin Magnussen will get the boot from the results. Esteban Ocon's still iffy. Anyway, we wait to see. You'll know by the time this is out in the world. What a great weekend in Austin. The championship goes to the next round. Can Seb keep that glimmer of hope alive? Can he win in Mexico? I wouldn't put it past him, the way this season's going. But it's going to take a phenomenal race from him. Hey, who knows? Maybe even another Kimi Räikkönen victory, something like that. It's been a great week here in Austin, Texas. We are off. As you can see, pack-up is in full swing. We are off to Mexico tomorrow lunchtime for the next round. 3 left. Will it be Seb? Will it be Lewis? Join us in Mexico to find out.